then we turn everything over to Matt. So welcome everyone tonight. I'm Charmaine Cross. I'm the first Vice District Governor from 5M2.
Okay, why don't you turn the oven off and just leave it in there?
Okay.
We're welcome you all tonight. So some of you are new to being the secretary of your club. Some of you are not. Some of you are just here to glean whatever you can from our presentation, and we appreciate that too. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them at any time and we will stop and answer them. When I get down to doing reports, I'm going to have Matt go into the portal for us and then kind of walk us through some of those things with you doing with reports and service activities. Some things now have finally changed where service activities you are able to put in pictures, which we haven't been able to do. And you're also able to repeat your activities, which is a godsend because otherwise you don't have to enter so much in. So those are brand new that have just come online the last couple of weeks, I believe is what it is. So, all right, let's get started. So your responsibilities, we're going to go over some of those. Your primary responsibility is to organize your club and for your club and your board meetings. Now, does everybody have separate board meetings or are they all in one with the membership meeting?
Portland does not have separate meetings.
Okay.
All in
Garden is separate.
Yeah. My club is separate too. So.
Ours are all together.
Okay.
Hutchins.
All right.
Together too.
Sure. Okay. Well, the one thing as secretary is to be sure that you take notes on those, on the meetings. You want to have those and be able to publish them after the meeting is over with. Some clubs do attendance. Some clubs do not. We do not do ours at all, attendance at ours. It's your job to do the agenda along with the president's input. Anything that would come in from the previous month, which would now then be old business that you need to bring up or anything that you tabled, you need to put that on your agenda. So you have that. You need to keep your club records. You need to, one of the things is you will receive all the correspondence. Lots of things will come through from LCI to you as a club secretary that you need to share. Things will come from the district also. I know you probably got the flyer for this meeting. You could share it with your club. Read the newsletter because you can share the multiple convention or the conventions that are coming up, especially ours in February. We would like you all to attend. So, and let's see. So when you're done with your meeting, you need to file your minutes, and it needs to be approved by your board, and then it can go out to your membership. And you will be a member of the District Governor's Advisory Committee, which means you are part of the zone committee, zone groups in your area, and that you are, according to our bylaws, we really don't have set meetings, but we really
You need a little spray?
we really hope that you will always attend those zone meetings because they really are geared for presidents and secretaries also. Besides, any member of your club can attend them. Some years we have a separate secretary president's meeting at the beginning of the year. This year we did not. So that's why we're kind of doing the training now and getting you up to speed if you should have any questions. So, and then if any of you have heard about Learn, which is an online course that's a part of Portal that we can go into in a little bit, and we can look at all the different activities that are in there and all the different lessons you can have. I did the training for secretary for tonight, so I've been the treasurer of the club. I've been secretary in other groups, but not in Lions. So it gave me some insight of all the things that need to be done. So bear with me as I turn my pages. Some of you have general monthly meetings, and some of you said you have board meetings, monthly meetings together. That's great. We're glad that you do that. One of the things is remember to do those minutes and get them published. Then you also are in charge of reporting all your club service activities, and that's something that goes into the portal. We used to have to every month go into my LC or my Lion and report your membership, if it was the same or if it increased or decreased. You do not need to do that anymore. The portal keeps track of your membership, especially when you add or you remove someone from the portal. So that's something that's really different. Annually, you may be the secretary for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. Once you're in the position, your club usually doesn't like to change unless you decide I've had enough and you said I'm done for a while. So, but then we just ask you to help the new secretary to transition into their role. So you need to organize your meetings, and before you do that, you need to provide members with advance notice of the meetings. Always send out an email to them and let them know, or some clubs even do calendars for the year. So they have, the membership will have all those, but it's a good idea just to send reminders to people as our lives get busier and busier. It's like, oh, I know it was coming last week, but now it's here and I forgot all about it. So you're in, like I said, your agenda before. Correspondence, you may get thank yous from places that you've given money to. You may get invitations to go to other different clubs or events. So that's one thing that you can share with all your club members. And then if your club votes to give someone a Melvin Jones, it's your responsibility to order that from LCI and turn in all that paperwork and get that award. Melvin Jones, Helen Keller, any other awards like that. That's kind of the secretary's job, is to get those awards and have them available when it's time to give them out to people. So during your meeting, some clubs take attendance, some don't. I know ours doesn't. Record the minutes, gather any other activities that people have, document your speakers. We always document how many Lions were actually at our meetings, how many non-Lions were there, and if there were any guests. It's nice to introduce those to the groups. So, and after the meetings, just record. It's lots of paperwork. I know it piles up, but that's always what we need to have the background with. So, follow up, you need, if you have new members, you have applications that you need to send in along with their registration. Be sure your board votes on those, to accept those members before you induct them. We have that. Did we get that done, Terry? Oh, you gotta unmute yourself.
Question on that. So I
Yep.
just put in 2 new members.
Mhm.
And also right on the application, it says we don't have to send the applications in anymore.
Oh, okay, if you just put them on the portal, then I suppose that's it.
Right. So I
Well,
was
don't-
curious about
Oh, yeah.
that. Said that because I was like,
Okay.
oh, not to, and then like have our treasurer just pay the amounts when they come in.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll probably bill you once they see it's a new member.
Right.
They might
Right.
send you the bill. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good to know. They
Thank you.
changing all the time. All right. So in your club records, you should have your charter. You should have your constitution and bylaws. You should have some club history. You should have minutes of all your club meetings. Now, our club saves 3 years back of our minutes, and then the 4th year, we eliminate those. Annual report, if you do that, or at least a roster of your club officers. Activity and service reports. And then a roster of all your club members for that fiscal year. Fiscal year starts on July 1 and ends on June 30th. So there's one thing on your rosters, and I'll tell you, most clubs pay dues in January, and they also pay them in July. And LCI goes according to the roster amount. So if you've had someone that has moved away or has dropped and you don't take them off your roster, you are going to get charged for them. And there's no way you can get out of that because they're on your roster. So you need to remove them prior to that December 31st and June 30th. I would do it a week before that, just in case something goes craziness. I know I think last June, it was just a whirlwind of everybody was trying to get in, and the service went down for a couple days because they were just bombarded with so many people at the very end. So anybody got any questions so far?
No,
Okay. Matt, you got the portal up. Is everybody on the portal? Everybody is registered and
yes,
is into it?
Get on.
Okay. Okay. All right. So Matt, if you could pull up the club, and we'll look at how to add a new member or take one off.
There. All right, hopefully everybody sees my screen now. I'm not sure
Can I
why
see it?
it's such huge letters looking, but the font is way bigger than it normally is on mine, but that's all right. Let's get that out of the window over there. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is just log into the portal. I'm assuming everybody is pretty comfortable with logging into the portal.
I can't get in.
You can't get in?
No,
All right.
I made a note. I tried with My Lions, and it says the message I get is criminals may be trying to steal your information, leave the site. And then if I try through LCI Home, it says My Lion and My LCI are unavailable.
All right.
Busy, ready for the launch of April 15th, and click here. And I just have no luck.
Maybe
Well,
just
Paulette, when
Google.
we get to the question and answer part towards the end here, we'll maybe try to unpack that a little bit.
Thank you.
All right, so for those of you that are able to get in, this is the landing screen that you are brought to, and these tiles across the middle. So for most of what I'm going to talk about here tonight, it's going to be in the My Club section here. There is some stuff in these other tiles, and then we'll also cover under the service My Activities up here, because that's the only place to report your service. So it sounded like, Charmaine, you wanted to talk about adding members and things like that first?
Yes, please.
Okay. So to do that, what we do is we click on the My Club tab. And it's going to look something like this. I am the club administrator for my club, so my layout here should look very similar to yours. I might have a couple of extra things because I have credentials at the district and multiple district level, but so the important things to kind of note here are these blue buttons over here. That's where the majority of your adding, subtracting, changing things are going to occur. So we'll kind of concentrate there to begin with. So if you have a new club or a new member that you want to add, you're going to come over to this blue button that says Manage Club Members.
to this. Shall I just go ahead and add mine? She's just telling you how to add new members on.
And then if you're adding a new member, you're going to click on Add New Member. You're going to edit one, you're going to click Edit. And then obviously down the line here, if you need to drop somebody, if you need to reinstate somebody, or if you need to transfer. So one of the things that the new portal has tried to do.
Activity, isn't it?
Dave, can you mute yourself? Thank you.
One of the things that the new portal has tried to do here is to ask you a series of questions when you're getting started so that you don't end up landing in the wrong place to do what you're trying to do. The drawback to that is you get all of these question things that you have to go through to get there. So we're going to hit Add New Member, and we're going to put in their name and their date of birth. So I'm just going to randomly select a date of birth, and then I'm going to change the year here to 84 or something to make sure they're over 18 and they're male. So this first field that it lands on, the intent of this is it searches to see if there's anybody that matches that's out there somewhere. And if it does, it's going to pull that up to you and say, hey, does this look like the person you're trying to add? to help you find maybe people that are dropped that are being reinstated and things like that. In this case, it didn't find anybody named Test Anderson from September 3rd of 1984. So you'll see here the other fields that it'll ask you to enter in. Again, noticing that the ones with the asterisks are the required ones. So it says the address field is required, but it doesn't have an asterisk, which is funny. But so I'll just enter in something. And I'm not going to complete this all the way because I don't want my club to get billed for a new member.
You have to drop them real quick.
I don't know why that my drop down's not working. Oh, probably because I have to hit USA here first. See, it tries to be helpful, and then if you don't follow it being helpful, it doesn't work. So I would click this information and I would hit next. And then it asks you to put in their start date, their stop date, and so and so. I'm not going to go any further because I don't want it to show on the ledger and then have to explain to them why somebody named Test Anderson really didn't join our club. But that's how you add a new member. You just keep going through the next fields here. And I'm going to cancel out of that. So if you were going to edit a member, and I can show you that too, all you would do is click that, and the difference here is it's going to actually show you the people who are in the club. It's not going to make you put in a new one. So let's say that I wanted to add it myself. It's a couple of ways. I can either scroll through like this, looking for my name, or I can, up in that little search bar here, type in my name, and it's going to show me, so if you have a club with a lot of people, it's easier to find. And then when you come in here, it asks you if you want personal data, contact information, email addresses, things of that nature. If you wanted to change your membership type, let's say you're going from a regular to an associate, you can do all that kind of stuff here. So I'm just going to say contact details. And as you can see, if you come in here, you can fill in the different contact pieces of information. If I were to say personal, it will let you change things like date of birth and everything. The one thing I did think was interesting here is the only two things that you can't, or the only thing you can't change is the member ID number. I can change your name here, and I can actually change the date of birth. In the previous MyLion, you couldn't change the date of birth. You had to actually send in something because they had it locked down for some reason. But that was how you would edit somebody. Anybody need anything else kind of covered with the membership part of it, the adding of that?
I want to just share one thing since I just put in 2 members in the
Yeah.
last days. When it asked for the sponsor, I put in like the people who were sponsoring these other people. And I thought, when I put in their names, because they were members, obviously, it did nothing. And I kept trying things and I didn't know. And then it was asking for an ID thing. And I was like, is it their membership or is it our club membership number? Anyway, I ended up calling in and I did get help. And so what I found was helpful is before you put in your new member, go into that screen you were just in under managing club members. And if you can pull up the member ID and write down the ID number for the person sponsoring, put that number,
What
that's
number in?
asking for the sponsor. I found that out just by trial and error. So just a helpful hint.
Apparently I can't edit myself anymore.
Anyway, I just wanted to share that. Because I kept thinking, why won't it pull up my prevention?
Yeah, that member ID will get you a lot of places versus the name,
Right.
because it's
I'm
unique
just
to
going to click in here to see what it looks like if I were to change my membership sponsor. Yeah, it doesn't let me.
No,
All right.
this was
You're
ended
old, you're
when I was adding a
Yeah,
new
did you see the
member.
warning there? It had to be in 90 days. Because every place else in the system, if you click like that, it pulls up the view of the club and then you just have to pick them. That's the way it's worked for me in the past. So it's interesting that you had to look for it by member number, but that's good to know. Because that number is hard to find sometimes. Other things that you can do in here that the secretary is going to do quite frequently would be to manage your officers. So managing your officers is something that at the end of the year you're going to do. So if I were, let's say it was May and I was getting ready to enter in our officers, I could go like this and say, create a new assignment for the upcoming Lion year. And this is where it's a little weird. Officer or administrator, the only thing that should be under administrator is the club administrator. And you'll leave it as this official. Anything else is under what's called officer. And then this local is, let's say I wanted to create a tail twister and put them into the portal. The tail twister is not an official recognized LCI role. I know that's a shock to a lot of us because we've had them for so long we thought it is. Same with the lion tamer. You would actually select local here and type in the name, and you can see that I actually used the tail twister and lion tamer in the past. Those local accounts like that will not qualify to the club officers report. So when you pull that club officers report at the district level to see who's the officers of that club, it will only show people that are listed under the officer or under the official here, either the officer or the administrator. It will not show anything on that local. That's just the way that report is set to run. So similarly, if you wanted to edit somebody for a current year or add somebody, you just do the same thing. You'd say, let's see, official, whoops. And I don't know, let's see. We have all of these, but let's say I wanted to add another club director. I could come in here, select the list of people, make them a director, you know, click next a couple of times and you'd be done. That's how you edit or add to them. If you want to view and you're just curious, like, hey, did I miss somebody? This button down here that says view off our club officers, you can either look in the past, which is going to show you everything in the past. So the database here from the past is everything that was in my LCI and everything in the portal. Because when they copied over to the new portal, they copied the historical information that was in my LCI database. However, it stops at like the time that the my LCI application went live. So anything like, you know, 20, 30 years old, it's not going to be in the system because they don't have that data electronically. But let's say we're going to look at our current officers. It pulls them up. Now this view, you'll see people like lion tamer. See, lion tamer here, tail twister. But this isn't a report. This just lets you kind of scroll through them, which I think is kind of annoying. And the next button really doesn't do anything unless you were to select somebody. So let's say I'm going to pick on Brian here. It just gives me more of his detail. If I actually wanted to see the report of that, under the club actions. Oh, sorry. Where am I? Where is it?
You lost it.
There it is. Oh, that's super weird. It didn't show me the actions. It showed me something else there. Under the view reports. So you notice all of these blue buttons are different on the club actions than they were on member actions. On here, if you click view reports, in here is where you're going to have all of those reports that those of you who have been secretaries for a while will recognize from my LCI. They should be pretty much exactly the same reports as they were there. But if you wanted to scroll down here, you could see this officer, Lions officer report for the current year. If I wanted it in Excel format, I can click on that. And I'll just go through a little trick here. Well, apparently that one doesn't do the trick.
Good
So
try,
it's
though. There it is.
It's in an Excel format. The district level ones work a little bit differently. No, remove them. I don't need them. I'm going to go back though, and I'm going to run that report again. And I'm not going to click the Excel. And you'll see here what looks like the traditional report. So if I download that real quick here. That's the report that you're used to seeing for your club officers. And if you notice, as I scroll in here, you see that tail twister and the lion tamer that we could see in that other view are not on this report, because that's just the way the report is set to run.
Matt, can you go back to the screen where it's to put in the new officers, or that has the past, present, and
Yep.
okay. So there's the managed club officers. So to create a new assignment would be, it could be somebody yet from this fiscal year or going to upcoming year. And what I advise you to do is when you've had your election in your club, to put in your new upcoming Lions year, put your officers in right away. Because when we try to do the directory for 5M2, that's where we're going to look at who those new officers are to be able to put them into our directory. And lots of people don't do that, and we're still chasing them down, trying to get our officers up to date. So you can look, current year is what you have. You can go in and do the end date too, because you know they're going to end on June 30th. For anybody that did not run or, was reelected. So you can already do that long before the June 30th time is there. That would be very helpful for everyone. Any questions on that? Okay.
So while we're in this same area, another thing that your secretaries are going to do quite often is you're going to assign delegates. So on this same page here again, you'll see here this manage delegates button. And you'll notice, depending upon the what convention they're going to, you should have a district, the multiple, and the international. And upcoming. So I'm going to click on the multiple here because I know that one shows up. So if I went in here, it's not within the time for me to assign delegates yet. It's too early, so it won't let me, but it's telling me when it is. If it was ready for me to, it will give me the ability to then assign those delegates there. Similarly, there is a view delegates button. So if you can't remember if you assign delegates or not, you could come in here, you could select the multiple, run the report, and again, it's going to tell me there haven't been any yet because it won't let me do them yet because it's too far out.
Go to the past. Just with your view delegates. Because there's a past button there too.
Yeah.
Wasn't there? Yeah.
Yep, there is.
Then you know who did.
So let's see here. I'll look at our midwinter convention a couple of years ago. Apparently we didn't assign anybody then.
No.
Um,
The portal wasn't up yet. That's probably why.
oh yeah, I bet they didn't copy that
Yeah.
detail.
Right.
Let me see. We didn't have anybody go to Melbourne, so, and I know like Boston, I know we assigned ones. Yeah, see, so there, you can see that my wife and I were delegates in Boston. So it must only go back a year.
Yeah.
But you can look back previous years once we historically get that information in there going forward. So other things, on the club actions tab here, if you have people that like their membership cards and you print those out on cardstock, you can download the membership cards in a tab delimited file. So let's say I'm just going to pick the first couple here. You can pick your file or your page size, and it's going to give you, something like this that you can download and print out with whatever template you're using. I have heard that the options in here don't line up nice with like the business card templates that people have used in the past. So you might have to, play around with that a little bit if that's something that your club does. Similarly, remember we were in here talking about the delegates. If your delegate loses that piece of paper that comes with it that says, hey, they're registered as a delegate, you could come back in here and you can then find that piece of paper and reprint that. I can't do that because we don't have delegates assigned yet. We already did the view reports a little bit. These two are if you're creating a new club, you're sponsoring a new club, or you're creating a branch. These are probably less likely to be used too often, but this edit club details is also something that, let's say our board meeting here is moving to the, the second of the month, or the second Monday of the month. We can move it up, change that kind of stuff in here too. Or are you moving to a different location? This is all stuff you could edit before in the portal, but it's all stuff that the secretary is going to have access to do.
Sherry, does that answer your question? That she had asked a question.
Looks like she's muted.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I can. Yep.
Yep.
Do you want me to open that again, Sherry? I see it in your chat now. So here's where the meeting place is for the board meeting. Here's the general meeting number 2. So you just edit it in there. Any other questions in this? Are we ready to kind of move towards looking at the reporting service?
Lion Rose has a question.
Oh.
Hang on.
Oh, member
How
phone
can I get
numbers.
How can I get a report with members' phone numbers?
All right.
So it has more data than just phone numbers.
Yeah, so if we go to the club actions and we click on view reports, the report you're going to want to pull is
Contacts.
club, let's see. Yeah, Lions Club contact list. And I'm just going to pull it this way to start with to make sure that that's really the report I want. So that's, I'm assuming, Rose, that's the report that you want to get, but you wanted the Excel file version. This is going to show your address. I print these off when I was secretary and bring them to meetings and have people validate that that's still their information. But if I wanted to export that, and click on this Excel format.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, I see what you're saying now. Interesting. This is the way it does it at the district too, and there's a way around it, but it didn't give me the option to work around it here. So you see what happens here is if you try to put it into Excel, you get the people's names. It tries to make it look like the PDF looked. It doesn't put everything in one row like you would like.
That's where the data export comes in. I don't know if you're going to talk about that.
Right. That's what we're going to go to next is the report
that
itself.
works much better.
Yeah, the report itself doesn't give you the option to select something else, which I wish they would. But yeah, thank you. If you go to the data export here and you see the club officer contact information, that's one of the things that you have available. And it's going to bridge you into where you can write and publish reports. So if you click this little edit button up here in the corner, you actually could edit to this report and add different filters and things like that if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click this export button. And what you want to do here is you want to select details only, because if you select this formatted report, it's going to look like that other one where it tried to make the Excel look like a PDF. So if you click on this details only and then select this middle one, the XLSX version, you'll see all the other options go away. And if I click export and I open this one, now you're going to see it in a table more like what you're used to. And what I do with this is, come across the top here and put my filters on so that I can, move things however I need to. But there's all kinds of information here you maybe didn't want. So you can play around with it if you wanted to spend the time. Back here, when I said I wasn't going to push edit, I could actually come in here and move these columns to a different order or get rid of columns that I don't care to see. And then when I ran that report and exported it, it would show everything. Similarly, if I go back to here again, I did the officer contact there, but if I did the member contact one, it works the exact same way, and it would show all members in your club in a usable format in Excel, so that you could actually do like a mail merge and print labels. Let's say you're mailing something by the post office. So Rose, I hope that answered your question. Steve, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, just an observation, something I found out the other day. If you go down to where the club members, club officers, and sponsored clubs are, and scroll down to the bottom of that, I found that little table there worthless. But if you click on View All,
Yep,
it pops up something that you can actually use to, and
Right.
that's kind of that same sort of thing.
The
And
one-
it'll even tell you who sponsored a person, I think, in that one, which is what I
Yep.
was looking for.
The
Yeah,
one
that
thing
wasn't
I
bad.
will warn you about when you open this is
You got your document
sometimes,
members too.
well, see, when I keep scrolling, it keeps adding. So it will show everybody, including people that dropped 10 years ago. So you
Right.
got to be careful with this membership full report type column to make sure that it's not a dropped member here. Because it apparently that's scheduled to be by join date right now. But you can play around with these filters. But that's a great point. That gets you a better looking view. Well, and now I got lost in some weird place. Click the wrong thing. The other things that you can do in here as well is you can look at statements. So you can look at past years, current years. You can view the PDF. So if you need to help out your treasurer, let's see how long it takes. Let's see, we just made a payment because we had some new members join. So our current balance is 0. You can pull all of that kind of stuff. You can also kind of see in here this service activities. You can see a listing of them, but it's not the best place to really see stuff. You should actually go up here to the service. So are we ready to pivot to service now? Steve, your hand is still up. Do you have another question?
No,
Okay, I want to make sure before I moved on.
Anybody else have any questions on
We
membership?
can always come back for some specific
Okay.
question and answers too.
Thank you.
All right, so the other thing that we're used to doing is reporting service, right? And the only way to get to where you can report the service is clicking on Service My Activities. And you'll see you get this little blue button at the top again that says Create Service Activity. That other place that we were at within your club tile showed you the information that's down in this area. And I have some filters on here, so it's not, that's why it's not showing me all this stuff here. But this is the only place that that button exists. So again, like when you're adding members, deleting members, changing members, it tries to be helpful by asking you a series of questions before you get to the page where you're going to do it. For myself here, if it doesn't click on this select from my specific area, it may default something like this for you. They changed that when it first went live, it defaulted like this and you couldn't figure out what to do. Now it defaults to this one selected. And because I'm an officer at the district as the administrator and I'm an officer at the multiple, I can report service at all 3 levels. So I would select my club here. If you are only like an administrator or club secretary, you should only see your club when this specific area is selected. And I just need to click on that and then click next. And it's going to ask me for a name, and then it's going to ask for a type. And this type is the same types that we had before: donation, fundraiser, meeting, service project. What this is going to do is by selecting this up front, it's going to change what the screen is that it shows you, and highlight the things that are required. Because, for example, if you don't If you if you click service project, fundraising, like how many dollars you raise, isn't required. You can add that as a metric, but it's not required because the point of it wasn't to fundraise. So I'm going to click service project because that's what we all want to report, right? As our service projects. Some clubs don't even ever report meetings. Other clubs report every single meeting. So if you come into here, you will notice that the fields look very similar to what they did in My Lion. It's just that it's kind of washed out with a lot of white. And it's a little bit smaller font. So before I scroll down and start entering in things, I'm going to highlight for you this guy right here. So at the top of the second column, it says report complete. If I do not check that box when I go through the first time here, it will not report my service activity. It will save it as a draft. So if you think you have reported things in the past and they're just not showing up on reports as reported, it's probably because you have missed that checkbox. So I'm going to go in and enter in here. So we see my club and I can change the level. You know, if I was reporting somewhere else, I'm just going to pick my start date. Let's say that we did this. Let's say we did something Saturday. And we're going to say that it was 250 people served and we had 15 volunteers and non-members from our family members that were non-Lions are there. And let's say a total was 32 hours. I'm just making stuff up. Now you notice that the dollar value here is in optional metrics. So if we happen to get donations or something, we could certainly put them in there, but it's not going to be required. Whereas up here, those items for service were in the required section because it asked me ahead of time which template to use, and it brought me to this one.
Quick question.
Yeah.
There's 2 fields for like total funds donated. Do you know why there's 2 fields there? One on the right.
Yeah.
And one on the left?
This, yeah, it's an interesting. They're not the same. So. This is because of the need for LCI to be able to convert things to and from US dollars. So for us in the United States, because we have US dollars selected here, if I put in the funds raised here, it's going to be the same number put over here. But if I were to select that, hey, I am using an Australian dollar, I would have different values here. The two over here are always in US dollars. And to be brutally honest, I don't even know. I don't know if they calculate that or if that's something that they just have the database field so that when they do that calculation, they have a place to put it.
Okay, thank you.
But that is why it is a little hokey. And maybe what we could do is let's go back and let's do one that's a fundraiser where that's required to see if it behaves differently. None of these are required, so I'm just gonna step through here quick, hit my report completed button. Let's say it was for childhood cancer and it was helping a family in need. And then I'm just gonna hit save here just so that we can see what it looked like going all the way through. And I'll get to you in a second, Carolyn. I saw you had putting your hand up. So now if I go back to my membership service activities, back to where we came in, and we wait for the report to populate, you'll see that that testing one that I had is now across the top here. And we reported a service project. I'm just going to click another one here real quick. And we're going to select fundraiser. And unlike adding members, I can add as many fake ones as I want and just delete them. And it doesn't really hurt anything. So I'm going to select fundraiser here. And you'll notice now that your required metrics are there's only 2 of them. You see that, Todd? Because it's required now, it's only asking for those. Oh, I guess it's the same one. Total funds raised US. So like if I do that, let's see if it's going to make you enter them both in. Even though for us, it's the same.
And
And
if you have selected report complete, can you ever go back in and edit something in it?
yeah, so here, I'll do a couple of things. Let me select a cause here. Just randomly get, I'm gonna save this one without doing that, and then I'll also show you how to edit one. All right. Well, I don't want membership, I want service. All right, so you see I have two of them, and this one, it hasn't been reported because that checkbox isn't there. Much like these testing ones down here, I didn't report. So you want to click on this, don't click on this, because they're both hyperlinks. You see that? That's just going to bring you to my membership, my member page. I want to click on that service activity, and you see the status is ready to report. All I would have to do is click edit up here. Select that report complete and hit save. And it'll give you this little warning at the top saying it's been saved. And if I go back now, it should show that check mark box in that spot. And I apologize, apparently this page is a little bit slow to load, but you see both of them now have that checkbox. So let's say we wanted to edit something in this first one. All you do is you open it and you click the edit button. And it's going to give you the fields. You never see it as that table, like the wide open table again, you see it within this window. But let's say we wanted to change this. Oh, look at that. That answers our question, Todd. When I went back in, it did calculate. You see that?
Yeah.
I
Perfect.
put Australian dollars and it did use that field. So that's kind of weird that it's a required one because it actually is calculated after I hit save, not before. So let's say this number was wrong. And it was really 150. And it shows real-time, the real-time uneditable view here shows that. If I wanted to edit again, I could come back into here and go edit again. Now, the other thing that we can do, which is a little bit odd, is I think it will let me actually edit. So the images we said was something relatively new, right? So
Yep.
I'm going to select an image. Once I have it selected and the name of it is here, number one, I could do 2, 3, 4. I could do a whole bunch. If you select upload now, and you see image is successfully uploaded. If we go back to the image preview, you can now see the image. If you, let's say the image is wrong and you wanted to delete it. You click here on the image gallery. And you hit this little trash button. And now you see there's nothing there and the image preview is gone. So that is a little weird that in where you upload, you have to click on this gallery to get away from the details to remove it later. Similarly, if let's say this is something we do often, Charmaine talked a little bit about this. If you hit that copy button, it now has brought me into a copy where I can come in here and I can change whatever I need to change. Again, you see if you click here, you can't, well, I guess you could kind of force your way in. The easier way to do that than double clicking randomly is you see there was like that little pencil there. If you click on that little pencil, it opens for you to edit, but it opens everything. So let's say I wanted to change this name to something else. And you notice it wiped out my date because it was supposed to be a copy. So I'm going to say I forgot to do this one a couple weeks ago. I want my report to be complete because everything else was the same. Go ahead and hit save. And now if I come back to my service activities, it should show another one across the top that says testing 59. Actually, it's below because I backdated it. But that new one is there. So Carolyn, you had your hand up when we started looking at these. What questions do you have?
Okay, I'm the service co-chair person. Okay.
Yep.
So there's actually, we made it into a team, and I'm pretty new at Lions. This is like, I've only been at 2 years, and it's the first time I ever took a position at all. So I've had to kind of just dive in by myself and learn how to do it. So what puzzles me is that I'm going to give you an example. So some of our members went to a MS fundraiser, and our club donated $10,000 for a table.
Okay.
And so they were like a gold sponsor for this thing. Okay, so I counted the number of people there. And then our other Lion who introduced us to this project also works with MS, and so he contributes like about 30 hours every year. So we had 8 people at the table, and I figured it was probably a couple hours, and so I just multiplied 8 times 2, and then I put his 30 hours in. I mean, is that the way we're supposed to be doing this type of thing, or?
So I would, if it was me and for my club, something like what you just described, I would have selected a donation, and I would not have called it a service activity, because were those members actually doing something other than attending like a gala and paying money to sit at a table? Were they actually helping set up the event? Were they helping to raise funds outside of that? See what I'm getting at?
Yeah, okay, so they were just attending.
Right, so what I would do, and this is for my club, and I know there's politics behind all of this, because some clubs will report everything under the sun as a service project to make those numbers higher, and others are like, no, unless it meets these parameters, we never count it as a service project. And that's kind of going to be up to you and your club a little bit to kind of work through what you would do. If it was me, what I would have done is I would have selected this donation button, and then I would have come in here, and you'll notice that the required funds here are how much money I donated and to whom. And then the questions of service and things are optional. So I can come in here, and you said it was like $5,000.
But who's counting? Yeah.
You know, so I could put in, it was $5,000, and it was, you know, let's say it was a diabetes research thing. And here, I'll pick a date that Saturday we didn't use already. I click report, cause, I said it was diabetes here, and see how it already told me the project type was donation.
Okay, so if it's MS isn't really one of
No, you can
I'm
play around with those things. So you know, I showed you up here, you can click edit in that window. You
yeah.
can also click on the pencils here to edit these things.
Sure.
So let's say it wasn't diabetes and it was other, right? Because nothing else fits. You can select other like that. It's still going to be a donation. And then here's type in MS, you know, Society USA, or, you know, whatever the name of the organization is. You can also put that over here with the organization benefited. This isn't like a lookup table where only certain things are there. You know, so yeah, you can play around with that. There are people that would do exactly what you did. Take, for example, you know, my club does 817 flags, 6 holidays of the year. So when you think of the number of people served, well, do you calculate the number of people that drive by the house? Do you can calculate based on the number of people who live in the house? You know, do you just guess? Is it just a fundraiser, or is it a service project, or is it both? So yeah, those calculation things can get kind of crazy. All depends on what your club wants to do.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they want to do. I just, and that's what, that, I guess that's I've learned how to use the portal just by, I watched the little training video at first.
Yep.
And I've just sort of jumped in and said, and, but the calculations and what exactly do I put it under? That's been,
Right.
my Achilles heel. More
So
ways
you
than
had
one.
mentioned the training video. So if you are on that main homepage, right in the
Mhm.
middle here, this dark blue training videos will actually bring you to those YouTube training videos that
Okay.
LCI has published. And when
Yeah.
you get out here, I usually click on this just videos here, and then you can scroll through all of them instead of it tries to show you like the 3 or 4 most recent. But you know, here, how to create and report service, right? So you could just come in here, click on this YouTube, and it's gonna be the one that LCI provided for you. Sherry, it looks like you didn't see how to edit that, so I'm just gonna jump back here quick before we run out of time. So on your club tab, on your club actions, way down at the bottom here, the bottom blue button says edit club details. And for our meeting location 1, so these are all blown up, you see here. But our first one here is the board meeting, and in here is the street address. I can just edit it right in that field, and it will change on what's published in my else or into everybody else. All right, other questions? We have a few minutes left.
I have one, Matt, real quick.
Yeah.
Very quick. I know when I was putting in activities here recently, it asked about signature activities. How do you know what your signature activity?
That's another great loaded question. Because the concept of a signature activity has been debated for a while. Some people think a signature activity is just an activity that we do multiple times a year, but really the concept of the signature activity is something that your club is known for, or something that your area would miss if your club stopped doing it. So that they're usually, you know, they're not your pancake breakfasts. They're your like, hey, our signature activity is we coordinate with the county to do a hazardous waste recycling thing once a year or whatever. And you'll see here, there's
Mhm.
still that button for signature activity. So if I were in one of these that I edited before, down here in this additional details, there is signature activity button.
Okay.
So if I edit this and I click that and I hit save, now when I go back here, it's going to have that checkbox and that thing saying that I reported this as a signature activity. I don't know if LCI, you see here, it's got the checkbox now. I don't know if they pull reports or they do something based on this extra data that you now gave them saying this is a signature. I don't know if they pull reports to say, hey, how many signature activities are there? I've personally never really found a good use for claiming it was a signature versus not, because it really doesn't help you as the secretary report things faster. So it's not like you can click on signature activities and say, duplicate this. You just have to find the thing and say duplicate it. And it's not saving you any steps.
Okay, no, I'm just curious. The one that I thought about was like our bench recycle, you know, the plastic recycling, because we've been doing, you know, we've done like 8 of them or whatever. And I just wondered if that would be considered something like that, or because it's something you repeat several times and we have the community involved and.
Yep. Those kinds of things are what people historically have called signature activities.
Okay.
Sherry, you say that you're seeing the edit button. Do you have the capability to show the screen? Share your screen. I'm not sure what edit button you're seeing. So if I come back to the edit club details, mine are just wide open. There's no edit button. So down on the bottom of your screen, there should be a big blue or green button that says share. I don't know if you're logged in right now and can hit share so that we can see what you're. You're also muted if you're trying to talk.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm doing this on my phone. I don't
Oh,
have,
you are?
yeah, I don't have, my computer is too old to do a Zoom on it.
Oh.
So, let me see
How
if I
can't share your
can,
screen on your, that pretty difficult to do on your phone.
yeah, so I can change the account name, but it will not. And the other gal that's our admin isn't finding the edit button either. It will not let us change the name of the meeting place.
So your club actions, you have this button that says edit club details.
Club actions,
Yeah, it's
I
the very
have-
bottom.
bottom.
This is the other person at the very bottom of what? I'm looking at the.
Okay. Yep. So if we go all the way back to the beginning, if you click on the My Club tile,
Yep, I'm on that.
and then over on the right-hand side, it says Member Actions, and there's a bunch of blue buttons. And then there's one that says
Okay.
Club Actions. So
No,
click
mine
on-
does not have that. Let's see, wait.
Mine does.
Okay, club actions, okay.
Yes. So if you click on Club Actions, the very bottom button should say Edit Club Details.
Ah, there we go. Got it.
And then once you're in there, everything should be open so you can rename the thing and change the address and everything.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
And I'm guessing on a phone, the distinction between member actions and club actions is even harder.
Yeah, and my phone is really acting up today. So it was, I kept trying to like go over to unmute my phone and it wouldn't unmute. It wouldn't let me answer a
Are
question.
you on Verizon?
Yep.
I've
Yep.
never been so happy to be on AT&T in my life.
I've never had problems ever. And
Actually, I'm
today
on
is
FirstNet,
nationwide. So
So,
yeah, today is nationwide. So I give
yeah.
them.
Oh, yeah. So Paulette, I know we said I was going to save you a minute here at the end, and we're right at 8. What was the name of your club? I just want to check to make sure that if I can see in the system that you have the right access to begin with, because you were having a hard time logging in.
Mayor Area Lions,
How do you like mayor? Like I would expect.
MAYER.
Okay. And hopefully that's you here, 5M2. Yep, sounds right. So I'm just looking at current officers, and I just want to make sure that I see Paulette listed here. And you are
I'm vice president.
so what was it? Yeah, so
Well, I just couldn't get
What
into
was,
the.
what was you trying to do,
Right.
Paulette?
Well, I went into My Lion and the message I got said criminals may be trying to steal your info. Leave the site. And then I tried My LCI and it said My Lion and My LCI are unavailable. They're busy readying the launch return after April 15th to the portal. And then
Oh.
click here. And I just didn't have luck.
all right, Paulette. So what I would suggest you do, because it sounds like part of the issue you're running into is you are using old links that no longer attach to things because we've moved past My Lion and things like that. So the number one place I tell people to remember if you don't have a link is just lionsclubs.org, because across the top here, you have this member login button. And if you click that member login, it's going to bring you to the right place. Now, what I'm going to do here is I was still logged in, so it remembered that. So I'm going to go back to my lionsclubs.org here. I'm going to click member login, and it should bring me to the login page. Now, what I would suggest for you is to try your username and password that you remember from My Lion.
Okay.
And see if that works. If it in a perfect world, what should happen is it should pop up and say, you need to change your password, because all of us were required to, once we got into the new portal, to change our password.
Yep.
If
Okay.
that doesn't work, when you get to this portal login screen from the lionsclubs.org, click on this forgot your password and try to follow through that series to see if they can just reset your password for you.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing I'll show you it doesn't help for Paulette because she's not in the system. But if you are in the system, down here in the corner, this contact member services button and this Lions support button are on almost every single page for you to get access to help pretty easily. So if I click on this support, I can come right into tech support and I can look through different things, different articles. I can go to the member service center, or I can even hit the contact us and submit my question directly to them right away. And I didn't have to leave, the website to do any of that. It was all right within it.
Okay, sounds good.
And hopefully hopefully that's all it is the password thing. So I know we're over time. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm just curious as to why. See, I've been doing all the service reporting in the portal. I didn't realize the secretary had to do service reporting. I mean, isn't that kind of
So historically, there
Thank-
was no such thing as the global service team leader. There wasn't that position until like about 5, 6, 7 years ago. So the secretary was required to do all of that because they were the only person really in the system to do that kind of work. Now that you do have a global service team, the GST, and you have that person, that service person at the club level, that just means that there's more people to do that work now. So what I would suggest is to work it out with your secretary on if they're doing it or if you are doing it. And it could be that you're doing it and they're gonna just take care of all the membership stuff.
Yeah, as far as I know, I'm just
Yeah.
the only one doing. I think.
Similarly, some of the membership stuff that we showed early on, you probably don't have access to do any of that because as the global service team leader, you shouldn't.
That is correct. I cannot
Yeah.
get in. I hit that button once. And then, oh, I not do that one.
Right?
Okay. Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
If a club does a project and just makes money for the general fund, what do you put that under?
You're talking about program fund or administrative fund?
It's not administrative fund.
Okay.
We're selling donuts and it just goes into the fund. It pays our
Yep.
recreation, it pays,
Yep.
yeah,
So if you go into report service,
yeah.
and I'm just gonna open one of mine that I had, so I have less to delete later when we're done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find the one that I said was a fundraiser.
Yeah.
So when you document that this is a fundraiser,
Correct.
all you are documenting is the funds that were raised. There is no destination necessarily for those funds. There's nothing. I could go into other metrics and I could say, down here that I also donated to a specific organization. But just because I raised these $320 doesn't mean that they were earmarked for anything. That's
Okay.
just reporting that we did a fundraiser and this is how much we took in.
Okay, what I was looking at is it's stopping. I made out the form, but it's stopping me because I didn't put in cause. So what's my cause?
Yeah, gotcha. So, yep, because you have to put in causes.
Yeah,
So typically what I would suggest here is if it's for something that's like just general, like, hey, it's money that we're going to use to donate to like 15 different things at the parade range or whatever. I always select that other humanitarian service and then select other here and then just say like, general fundraising or, or whatever you want to do.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was hoping.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, that's the easiest way to do that, because the cause is required. And I do think that the circumstance that you're explaining is one of the use cases for where it doesn't really make sense to have to put in a cause, but because it's to be determined later, right?
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay,
But
perfect.
yeah, you could just edit it like that.
Thank you, thank you.
Right, I know we're about 10 minutes over, but if anybody has any other questions, I certainly can hang on a little bit longer still.
So, yeah. So if we have members that are doing, like, I know some of the people have gone to a couple different Alzheimer walks. Can we put that in as just volunteer hours for the,
You could, if that's something your club wants to keep track of. Yep.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of asking because I really don't.
Yep. No, it sounds like you're just trying to get a handle on how much service your club really is doing, because it's probably been underreported for a long time.
That's what ours has been.
Yeah.
I do a quick
Oh.
question too. Why are there two numbers under members? So like right now, when I'm looking at your screen, you have you have a service activity number on that one, but I think I'm looking at something different. When you like under our members have a membership number, but then there's like another longer number. Why do we
Right.
have two things assigned to people?
I mean, I'll click back to home here and see if we can pick that apart a little bit. All right. So you're probably talking about this number.
Yep, you got that number and then you got the number to the left. Yep. So what is that is their actual number where you are,
Yeah,
right?
so here, let me
That's their membership numbers in the first column.
do
And what's
this.
the other
Let
one?
me do by name to see if I can find, well, here, I'll just pick on Brian because he's at the top. So this is the link to your table.
Your what?
Your table of your membership details. So that is a database field ID that brings you to Brian's membership details page. And you'll notice the other thing I think that's a little bit weird about this is in here you can see, the club that Brian's associated with and the district and the zone and the number of years that he's been here and who his sponsor is. But you'll notice that his actual member ID isn't even associated here.
Exactly.
So to actually get to the page that shows that's his actual member information, you'd have to click on his name. And then that will bring him to the page that you would expect that shows like his address and what club he's in. And then his member ID is up here.
Okay.
So that field is just a byproduct of the way the data architecture is in the system, because they had to build a table to contain that other types of information. And for whatever reason, this is just Matt talking off the cuff. If I were to build it, I would have that field not go anywhere. Like I would hide this because it's more confusing than anything else.
Exactly.
The other problem
trying to
is
figure out whose numbers were what. Like okay.
Why doesn't the name here where it says full contact name, why isn't that a link to that member page instead of having to do 2 steps?
Okay.
Maybe in the future it will be, I don't know.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, thank
don't
you
know what
for
happened.
explaining
And if
that.
you
That
click
was
on their
one of my
email
questions.
address, it tries to actually email them.
Oh,
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 okay.
you're silly.
But yeah, that's what that field is for. I ran into the exact same thing when I first got in here. I was like, well, this doesn't tell me. I mean, the one nice thing here is it tries to calculate how long you've been a lion.
the big number does.
No, this separate one here does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if you can go back to the other one when you're there. Let's try Brian again.
What?
Meeting.
Yeah, it's all done. I can quit the thing. Dad home?
Yeah, you can't even get to that other one from here.
Oh.
It's kind of strange.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, you can. Oh, no, I bet this is gonna be that same member thing, but it's gonna be for the club. Let's see what happens. Oh, no, that brings us to Brian's. All right, so let's. So if you're. Let's see, there we are. Let's go to mine and just see what it looks like. So I should be able to click on that guy right over here and it'll bring me to that page, 12.42 years. Okay. I mean, I guess that's at least some values to be able to, when somebody says, how long have I been a lion? It can calculate it for you that way, but. So, any other questions?
I can't, okay, this is Jan in Hutchinson again. I got my whole application filled out, but it won't let me click report complete.
Ah, okay. So you said you were in Hutchinson.
Yes, sir. And I'm on T-Mobile.
Ah,
Lucky
All right.
person.
Yeah, I know. I hear, guys.
So we're gonna open the Hutchinson Club. And this is Janet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So Janet, you are only listed in the system as a club director, and a club director cannot finalize a service report.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah,
Hey, Matt, that's a different,
different Hutchinson Club.
Nope, different Janet.
That's the only one that has a. So what's this, Janet?
The best stuff.
Yeah, you're not even listed as an officer.
No.
Dave
Yeah.
is.
So Ami's doing it. She's actually the
Yeah,
Jan.
but yeah, you would only be able to enter things in, and then somebody else would have to go.
And back and okay. Okay. No, she just hasn't been entering any of them. We all seem to be doing them individually. So I
Yeah.
was just wondering. Thank you.
The only one that can do that is the secretary.
Yeah.
Or the admin.
Well, actually, you have, I think, 4 that can do it now. Your president, your secretary, and your admin can, and I'm pretty sure the global service team leader can report them now too.
Was that right?
Yeah. But I'm not
Okay.
even sure how you assign the global service team person.
So actually for my club, this is Glenn, for my club, I am the service chair,
Yep.
and that's my role.
Yeah.
And you can report them, right, Glenn?
You betcha.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, we actually have a team. I do the portal entering, and my team member, she's more the writer.
Mhm.
So she develops we're developing guides for different things in our group, and she's kind of my support. She's my support person. We're kind of the good cop, bad cop.
Right.
Yeah. So how do we know who our admin is on these?
You have to assign them. Maybe you haven't assigned an admin.
I have no idea if Eagle Lake has one or not.
It should be under your officers, shouldn't it?
I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. I'm not on.
Yeah,
on any
it
of the
would
board.
be,
I'm
but
just
I have
watching
not
you guys.
seen, I haven't seen an admin on there.
Yeah, you need to go, your secretary needs to go in and put that in.
You
Okay,
don't
that's
have
me,
one.
but I didn't put in the new officers. Mary
Okay.
did that, Mary Mall.
Yep.
So I have to create an admin, and who should
Yeah,
that
so-
probably be?
Yep, so you only have 4 here listed. So you would
Yep.
click on the manage club officers, and I can't do it because I don't have access to 5M2. I can push the button.
That's okay, I can figure it out, so I can go in and, but who normally would you assign as your admin?
Could
It
be
depends on what
anybody.
your club wants. Yeah.
Okay, so we should decide on that?
And every club should have an admin on there. What happens if something
Yes.
happens to your secretary? Who's going to be able to do anything on your site? The admin can do that.
So, but can't the president also?
Not everything.
No,
I don't
so like
think-
adding or removing members and things like that I showed, your president typically doesn't have access
Yep.
to do that unless they
No,
change things in the portal.
Okay. So
Only the
put-
secretary or the admin is essentially a backup secretary role. They have the
Okay.
same access as the secretary does.
Okay. So
you
like,
know.
right now, we have like Angela Putnam as our first first vice president. But she's been secretary before, so and she's really techie, so.
Yep, yep,
Someone
there's
like
some
that would
clubs
be a
that,
good person to select, maybe.
yep, some
Yep.
clubs like, the second vice president is always the admin or the first, the immediate past president is always the LCIF coordinator. It's like, you can have those kinds of rules within your club if it makes it easier for you.
Okay.
I would
Good.
suggest it's somebody who's been secretary or is good with the computers because that's what they're gonna be asked to do, so.
Exactly, exactly.
So
Right.
Matt, when does your techie class happen every month?
So it's the.
You changed it.
Yeah, we did. Let's go back and we'll look here. Make sure I'm saying it right. Because we did have to change it. It should be the 3rd. Yeah, it is the 3rd Monday of the month at 7. Because the 4th or the last that I did it on originally is when my club has board meetings. So like tonight, I skipped my club's board meeting to come here with you guys tonight.
Well, thank you.
I'm like, I probably shouldn't schedule
This
every
is the
board
5th.
meeting to miss.
This is the 5th Monday of the month.
It
you
is,
can
so ours is always the last month.
Oh, even though, okay.
Yep, so on a
Yep.
5 like this, it's later than normal.
But yours are recorded and you can go to, what's the link to get into it? When-
It's this, it's the same
The
link that
same?
was sent out on Facebook.
Okay,
Yep. All of them are scheduled with the exact same code to get in.
okay. So if you miss it, if you have a board meeting like we do, we don't get to see that, so.
Yeah.
Our
Sim-
membership meeting, yeah.
Yeah, similarly, I'll put the thing out on our website, but if you actually looked in YouTube and looked for my name, I'm actually publishing them out there too, so you can watch
Okay.
the old version of the Tech Talk that
Okay,
the one
great.
that happened. And then what I did is I indexed them based on well, here, let me actually go to it. I put a little index in it based on what the topics were. And I put the times, and if you actually click on this time, it brings you to that place in the video.
Oh, cool.
Hey,
So-
Matt, that
Good job.
kicks ass. Good job.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Great
Thank
job.
you. It was very helpful.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Matt, for
Yeah.
joining us, walking
Thank
us through
you.
all these crazy questions, and thank
Yeah.
you to everybody who
Not a
participated.
problem.
So, is there any other secretaries that have not had training tonight? I have Terry and I have Paulette. Okay, all right. I think we can all sign off then. So again, Matt, thank you so much. And
Yeah.
we'll see you on Tech Talk.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I will send the link, Charmaine, to you, Glenn, and Lisa when I get this published on the YouTube.
Okay,
This
Great.
meeting. Yeah.
okay, great. Appreciate that. All
Yeah.
right. Good night, all.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everybody.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much.